Appreciate that. I want to bring in now Congressman Steve Cohen, a Tennessee Democrat who is a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much. You know, we're in the final days of the investigation, it looks like. What's the minimum you'll accept from Bill Barr when it comes to a summary or a report on this investigation?
We're going to have to see most of what Mr. Mueller's come up with. The American public has paid for the special counsel's work and for the report, and the American public deserves to see the product of what they paid for. The American public deserves to know whether or not their president is a crook. As Richard Nixon said, he wasn't, and he was. And the American public needs to see it for themselves, and certainly the representatives that they have in Washington and Congress need to see the full report, subject to redactions to save people from who are maybe in intelligence work and intelligence procedures, to keep those closed. But other than those redactions on intelligence methods and of intelligence work, the American public and the Congress need to see it all.
So as close to a full report, if not a full report, as possible, correct?
Indeed, and I don't think we're going to see it. I think Trump realized he made a mistake with Jeff Sessions. He realized he made a mistake with the New York Southern District U.S. attorney, who also had a conflict and recused himself from the investigation. And I think he found somebody that he could that he would know on the front end that would take care of him. And I think that's what he's got. And unless I'm wrong, and Bill Barr wants to continue to have a good reputation, I think Bill Barr is President Trump's man, and his reputation is going to be sullied, because I think he's going to try to stymie the American public and the Congress from knowing what's in that report.
So let me ask you then, Representative, could Congress ultimately subpoena Mueller to testify about his report?
We can subpoena Mueller, we can subpoena the entire report, and to have it brought in, and we'll do that. I feel confident. I have no question that Chairman Nadler is going to get to the bottom of this, and his committee will back him strongly. We've got a very strong committee that would like to get to the bottom of it, and we're not going to allow for justice to be stymied and clotured and covered up by Trump's Attorney General.
Okay, so during his hearing, Bill Barr, I just want to play something that we heard from Bill Barr at his confirmation hearing. It gives us a clue as to what he will and won't see, what we will and won't see. Here it is.
If you're not going to indict someone, then you don't stand up there and unload negative information about the person. That's not the way the Department of Justice does business.
So what he's saying is he doesn't want to pull a Comey, right? Democrats were up in arms when James Comey came out to say that all the inappropriate things about Hillary Clinton that she did, and yet chose not to indict her. You don't want a repeat of that, do you?
Well, I do want not a repeat, but I do want the information to come out. Hillary Clinton was involved in a presidential election, and there are reasons why you wouldn't want to do that, because you wouldn't want to give an advantage to Hillary Clinton's opponents. And Jim Comey unfortunately did that both in the summer and then 10 days before the election. The worst part was 10 days, 2 weeks before the election. But in the summer it wasn't good either. He went totally beyond his authority. But this is a president of the United States whose election is 2 years away. If he has committed offenses that would and engaged in conduct that the Congress would feel is high crimes and misdemeanors and worthy of impeachment, the Congress needs to see it. The fact is the Justice Department has a policy that says you can't indict a president. The president said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would care. And apparently some people in the Justice Department, and maybe Bill Barr is one of them, that thinks that policy, of course we know shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue is a state crime, but that policy is good and that the president can't be indicted. Well, if you can't indict the president, but he commits high crimes and misdemeanors, the Founding Fathers said the remedy for that was impeachment. The remedy for actions that might not be criminal per se, but are injurious to the government functioning in the way it's supposed to, with an executive who's doing his job on behalf of the American people, is impeachment. And if you have information that would lead a reasonable person to think that the president should be impeached, Bill Barr has a duty to turn that over to Congress.
Let's talk about Michael Cohen. I want to ask you about that. Finally, he's going to testify before Congress.
No relation. No relation.
I get your point. But he's going to testify before Congress next week, the House Oversight Committee to be specific. Speaker, Pelosi tweeted this. Here's what she said. Michael Cohen will come before the House Oversight and House Intel committees next week. Congress has an independent duty under the Constitution to conduct oversight and of the executive branch, and any efforts to intimidate family members or pressure witnesses will not be tolerated. That is a pretty strong message from the Speaker tonight. What do you say to that?
Nancy Pelosi is a strong speaker, and she's right. The President of the United States nor anyone else should be intimidating people from testifying before Congress. And that's what President Trump tried to do, to intimidate Michael Cohen by talking about his father-in-law and suggesting that there's something to be known, and trying to suggest that possibly his Justice Department could go after it. That's not the way the Justice Department's supposed to operate. And I didn't get his bizarre comment on today, I guess, referring to McCabe as being like J. Edgar Hoover. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover did a lot of things I didn't like, and J. Edgar Hoover, I don't think, represented America as it has been since Jim Crow. He had some intolerant attitudes toward African Americans and gay people, but J. Edgar Hoover is, for those reasons, should be questioned, but not for his work in much of the ways he went after trying to root out corruption and crime in our country, which is what Andrew McCabe did. I don't know where Trump's coming from.
Congressman Cohen, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome, and I'm happy that everything came out good with the Baltimore FBI that saved us from another tragedy. And Philip Mudd's right. There are a lot of wackos out there, and all of us need to be concerned.
Congressman Steve Cohen, we appreciate it. The end of the Mueller investigation definitely doesn't mean the end of legal trouble for the president.